Okay, let's unpack this a bit. In the just lightning fast world of creative tech right now, have you felt that pressure? The need to innovate faster or maybe just transform your existing content with some kind of new AI twist?
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere.
Right. And what if you could just conjure up some wild visual idea you have in your head without needing to be a master designer? Bring those really artistic visions to life.
Yeah, lowering that barrier.
Exactly. If you're trying to keep pace with this whole AI revolution, I mean, these are the kinds of questions popping up everywhere. So today we're diving deep into two really powerful AI tools that aren't just changing things, they're truly reshaping how content gets created and how art is being made. ChatGPT and Midjourney.
Two big ones.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And our mission here in this deep dive is basically to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from the sources you've given us. We want to show you exactly how these tools work. They're frankly incredible potential as collaborators, but also what you really need to look out for.
The caveats. Yeah.
Think of it as your kind of essential shortcut to figuring out how to harness AI for your own creative stuff.
And what's really fascinating here, at the heart of it all, is we're talking about generative AI. Sometimes folks call it Gen AI.
Right.
And this isn't just AI analyzing data, spotting patterns. This is AI creating things. Original content, totally new stuff in response to what you ask it.
Creating, not just analyzing.
Exactly. We're talking text, images, really stunning images, sometimes even video, audio, software code, all generated from a simple prompt, just a description you type in. And honestly, since ChatGPT just sort of burst onto the scene, what was it, late 2022?
Yeah, sounds about right.
We've just seen this unprecedented explosion in AI innovation and adoption. I mean, it's hitting every sector. It really feels like a pivotal moment, doesn't it? Yeah. It's fundamentally changing how we even think about creative tasks.
It really does.
And the sources we're digging into today, they're a good mix. They come from, highly reputable tech and design publications. So we've got practical guides, but also some really insightful expert perspectives to help us walk through this pretty incredible transformation.
That sets the stage perfectly. So, okay, when we talk about this original content being created, it's definitely not magic,
Okay.
right? It's sophisticated machine learning algorithms doing their thing.
Oh, absolutely not magic, although sometimes it feels like it.
Right. It can seem that way, but understanding how it works, that's where it gets really insightful, I think, for grasping what these tools can actually do.
Exactly right. Generative AI, I mean, whether it's spitting out text or crafting an image, it mostly operates through these three kind of fundamental sequential phases. The first one is training. This is where the foundation of the AI model gets built. Very meticulous.
Okay, the foundation.
Yeah. These models, like the large language models, LLMs,
Right.
you hear that acronym a lot for text, or the specialized models for image generation. They're first trained on just huge, absolute massive volumes of raw, unstructured data.
Unstructured, like just messy data from the internet.
Pretty much. Terabytes upon terabytes scraped from the web,
Yeah.
digitized books, countless images, code repositories, you name it, just enormous data sets. And during this really intensive phase, the AI basically does millions and millions of fill-in-the-blank exercises.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, it's constantly trying to predict, say, the next word in the sentence it's seen, or the next pixel in an image, or even the next bit of code, and it just keeps adjusting itself, tweaking its internal settings to minimize the difference between its prediction and what the correct or expected result was in the training data.
So it's learning by trial and error on a massive scale.
Exactly, on a truly massive scale. And the result of this colossal effort is this neural network that's packed with billions, sometimes even trillions, of parameters.
Parameters. Okay, what are those exactly?
Think of them like billions of tiny adjustable knobs and switches inside the AI's brain. Each one gets fine-tuned during this training process to understand patterns, nuances, relationships in the data. And that's what allows it to then generate new content all on its own.
Wow. Billions or trillions.
Sure.
Just thinking about the scale of that training phase alone kind of makes my head spin. It must be incredibly resource intensive.
It absolutely
Yeah.
is. And that's probably an understatement. This initial training, hugely compute intensive, takes vast amounts of time, and it is incredibly expensive.
Right.
You need literally thousands of clustered GPUs, graphics processing units working together, often for weeks straight. The cost. Millions of dollars just in electricity and processing power.
Millions just to build the base model.
Yep. But it's worth mentioning we're seeing the rise of open source foundation models now, things like Meta's Llama 2. These
Ah.
provide pre-trained models that developers can actually build on top of.
Hmm.
So it lets them sort of bypass that massive initial expense, which is great for democratizing access, letting more people build cool AI stuff.
That makes sense. So you don't always have to start from absolute scratch.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
once you've got that massive foundation model built, then you move into the second really crucial phase, tuning.
Tuning. Okay.
So a foundation model, right after its initial training, it's like this brilliant generalist, right? It knows a ton about a lot of different things. But for real-world applications, you need to be accurate, reliable, and behave in specific ways. So it needs careful tailoring.
Like specializing it.
Precisely. One main way is fine-tuning. This means feeding the model labeled data that's super specific to what you want it to do. So say you're building a customer service chatbot for, I don't know, the insurance industry.
Okay.
You'd feed it hundreds, maybe thousands of documents. These would have labeled examples of insurance-related customer questions paired with the ideal correct answers.
So you're giving it specific examples for its job.
Exactly. It's like, teaching a general chef a very specific new recipe. You give them the precise ingredients, the exact steps, so they can master that one dish. And this fine-tuning, it can still be pretty labor-intensive. Often developers work with specialized data labeling companies for this part.
Gotcha. So that's fine tuning. You mentioned another method.
Yes, a second really crucial tuning method, especially for conversational AI like ChatGPT, is reinforcement learning with human feedback,
Hmm.
or RLHF.
RLHF. Heard of that one?
Right. Here, actual humans carefully look at the stuff the AI generates. They give feedback, really valuable feedback that the model then uses to update itself, basically to get better, more accurate, more relevant, more helpful.
How does that work in practice? Are people just talking to it?
It can involve different things. Maybe people scoring different AI answers to the same prompt, saying this one's better than that one. Or it could be as simple as correcting a chatbot's response by typing or speaking back to it. So if fine-tuning is like teaching the chef the recipe, RLHF is like having a panel of expert taste testers giving feedback after every single dish, constantly adjusting the chef's technique in real time until it's just right.
Okay. Continuous improvement loop with humans involved.
Exactly. And then the third phase, it's not really a discrete step. It's more of an ongoing, continuous process. Generation, evaluation, and retuning.
So it never really stops learning.
Pretty much. This is the cycle where developers and even users are constantly looking at the AI's real-world performance and tweaking the model based on that. While the big underlying foundation model might only get major updates every year or two, the specific application built on top, that could be tuned as often as, say, once a week to keep improving its accuracy and adapting.
Interesting. Constant refinement.
And a really clever framework that's become super important here is called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or AGG.
Agi. Okay, what does that do?
Our AGG is cool because it lets the model dynamically pull in information from external, current data sources. Think specific company databases, live news feeds, verified document libraries, stuff that's outside its original static training data.
So it can access real-time info.
Exactly. And that's a game changer. It means the AI's information is more transparent. You can often see where it got the info, it's verifiable, and crucially, it's up to date. This directly tackles one of the big limitations of older models that were just stuck with whatever they learned during initial training.
That's a huge deal. Makes it much more reliable for current topics. What a comprehensive breakdown of the mechanics. It really does sort of demystify how these things are built. Now, you mentioned briefly sort of the evolution of these AI architectures. What were the key breakthroughs, those aha moments that got us to tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney today?
Yeah, it's been a fascinating and honestly incredibly rapid journey, especially over the last, say, dozen years or so. We started seeing the first really generative models pop up around 2013 with something called variational autoencoders, or VAEs.
AEs. Okay.
Right. These were big steps forward in areas like image recognition, early natural language processing, finding anomalies in data. Now, standard autoencoders were good at compressing data and then decompressing it, but VAEs, they introduced this really cool ability to decode multiple new, varied versions of the content they processed.
So not just recreating, but creating variations.
Exactly. By training a VAE to generate variations aiming towards a specific goal, it could kind of iteratively zero in on more accurate, higher quality content over time.
Interesting. What came next?
Then 2014 was a big year. We saw two more really pivotal architectures emerge: generative adversarial networks, GANs, and also the early forms of diffusion models.
GNs, I've heard of those. They sound competitive.
They are. It's a really neat concept. GNs involve this dynamic sort of competitive dance between two separate neural networks. You've got a generator network that creates new content and a discriminator network that acts like an art critic. Yeah, it evaluates the generated content, tries to figure out if it's real or fake, judges its quality. This whole adversarial process basically forces the generator to get better and better, producing increasingly realistic, high-quality stuff to try and fool the discriminator.
Wow, like an AI arms race?
Kind of. And GANs have been super successful for things like style transfer, taking a photo and making it look like a pencil sketch.
Oh yeah, I've seen those filters.
Right. Or for data augmentation, which is basically creating new synthetic data to make training data sets bigger and more diverse. And diffusion models, also starting around 2014, work differently. They systematically add noise, like static, to the training data until it's unrecognizable. Then they train the algorithm to reverse that process, step by step removing the noise to reveal the desired clean output.
Adding noise and then taking it away. Huh.
Yeah, they can take longer to train, but they offer really fine-grained control and are particularly good at generating super high-quality images. In fact, a lot of the modern image generation tools, like the one behind DALL-E, are powered by diffusion models.
Okay, so VAEs, GANs, diffusion. But what was the really big one? The one that powers the tools we use most now.
Right, the real undisputed game changer, the architecture that really underpins and fuels most of today's big headline-making generative AI tools, definitely ChatGPT, definitely Midjourney, that arrived in 2017 with Transformers.
Transformers. Okay, not the robots.
Uh-huh. No, not the robots. This model was a huge leap beyond the older encoder-decoder approaches.
Hmm.
The absolute core innovation in Transformers is this concept called attention.
Attention, like paying attention.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
This mechanism lets the model process entire sequences of data, like a whole sentence or a paragraph or even chunks of an image, all at the same time instead of just one word or one pixel at a time like older models.
Simultaneously, how does that help?
It's huge. This attention mechanism is what lets the AI truly capture the deep context of the data within the entire sequence. It figures out which parts are most important relative to other parts. Then it encodes that understanding into these rich, meaningful numerical representations called embeddings.
Embeddings. Like digital fingerprints for meaning.
That's a great way to think about it. They capture the meaning and the context of words or concepts.
Yeah.
It allows the AI to genuinely understand what it's working with on a much deeper level.
So it's this attention mechanism that's kind of the secret sauce. That's what makes these tools feel so intelligent and coherent in what they produce.
Precisely. That revolutionary ability to understand, prioritize, and focus on what's most important within a whole chunk of data.
Right.
That's why Transformers have been so incredibly successful in natural language processing, natural language understanding, and complex image generation.
Right.
They can generate much longer, much more coherent, contextually relevant sequences of data, whether that's a whole article, a poem, or a really complex visual scene with just unprecedented accuracy and quality compared to anything that came before. And it's this fundamental deep grasp of context that lets them move beyond just simple pattern matching to create stuff that feels truly coherent, even impressively original sometimes. They're not just spitting out random words or pixels anymore. They're operating with this really profound understanding of the underlying structure and the relationships within the data.
Okay, now that we really understand the brains behind the operation, the tech making this all possible, let's pivot. Let's talk about one of the most accessible and, frankly, game-changing tools out there, ChatGPT.
Yeah, the one everyone knows.
Right. For anyone creating content, this tool can feel like an absolute superpower. And our sources, they lay out something like over 150 different ways to use it, which just proves its immense multifaceted potential.
That's right. ChatGPT, it's this advanced language model from OpenAI, and it uses deep learning to generate text that sounds remarkably human-like. All based on the input, the prompt you give it. Its core capabilities really cover the whole content creation lifecycle, coming up with ideas, helping with research, the actual writing, and even detailed editing.
The whole workflow.
Pretty much. The goal is really to streamline those workflows and help people produce high-quality content much more efficiently.
So let's start at the beginning, that dreaded blank page moment. How does ChatGPT help there?
Ah, yes, the blank page syndrome. ChatGPT can be your perfect jumping-off point when you're just stuck, when the ideas aren't flowing. You just feed it some context. Who's your target audience? What's the goal of this content? Maybe a general theme, and it'll spit out a whole bunch of potential topics.
Like an idea generator.
Exactly. A simple prompt like generate 5 blog post ideas about sustainable urban farming for millennials, or maybe explain quantum computing in simple terms for a high school student. That can quickly give you a starting point, something to react to that sparks your own creativity.
Okay, so it helps with the initial spark. What about structuring the content?
Yeah, once you have an idea, maybe you've done a quick search to see what's already out there. ChatGPT is fantastic for creating structured content briefs.
Content briefs, like outlines.
Exactly. Detailed outlines. You can ask it to build one with suggested headings, subheadings, key points to cover. This isn't just about speeding up your own writing process. It's super useful for keeping things consistent if you have multiple writers working on a project together. Consistency across a team. That's smart. Right. Imagine prompting it with something like, create a blog post outline on a beginner's guide to flower gardening in summer. Make sure the post is unique and includes some out-of-the-box tips. The outline it gives back can be surprisingly comprehensive, sometimes even suggesting a call to action for the end.
That's pretty useful. And then the actual writing, the first draft.
Yep, then comes writing first drafts much faster. ChatGPT is amazing for overcoming that blank page fear. Now, a really helpful tip from our sources is this. Try feeding sections of your brief to ChatGPT one at a time.
One section at a time, not the whole outline.
Yeah, rather than dumping the entire complex outline in one go, this sort of incremental approach often gives you much better, more focused results. If you give it too much at once, sometimes it can miss specific instructions or even, generate some dodgy information.
Okay, break it down.
Right. So you might prompt it like, write a 500-word detailed guide for the section on soil preparation for summer flowers for my outline. Make sure to cover the importance of drainage and adding compost.
Got it. So it's not just about generating new stuff from scratch. What about improving content you already have, giving it a polish?
Absolutely. It really excels at refining and optimizing existing content. It's incredibly good at editing and rewriting. It can trim down text that's way too long, or it can flesh out parts that feel a bit thin. It can improve vocabulary, even critique and revise your writing down to a sentence level.
Wow, sentence level.
Yeah. For instance, you could ask it, paraphrase the paragraph below in the distinct style of, say, Christopher Lloyd's whimsical gardening books. Oh, and make sure to include the keyword gardening in summer in the paragraph. Then you paste your paragraph. Now, it might not nail every single instruction perfectly first time, like getting the keyword placement just right.
Right, might need a tweak.
Exactly. But it gives you a remarkably strong starting point that you can then quickly refine with a follow-up prompt or two.
Okay, that makes sense. What about SEO stuff, like title tags, meta descriptions? That's always a bit tedious.
Oh, it's an absolute workhorse for that. Creating title tags and meta descriptions, it can quickly generate tons of variations based on your blog content, your target keywords, those crucial character limits.
Character limits, always tricky.
Tell me about it. Now, you'll almost certainly want to make a few human tweaks, right?
Yeah.
For the exact character count, getting the brand tone perfect. But it completely automates that repetitive kind of grunt work.
That's a huge time saver.
Totally. For example, write a meta description for the Healthy Tonic website homepage. Keep it under 120 characters. The description must contain the keyword probiotic drink. And beyond just metas, it can help with broader SEO content creation too, like optimizing existing articles with new keywords or even structuring Q&A content to help you grab those featured snippets in search results.
That brings up a really critical point for any creator today. Tailoring content for all the different platforms. LinkedIn needs one style, TikTok another. How does ChatGPT handle that? That can be a real time sink.
You're absolutely right. It is a huge time sink. And ChatGPT streamlines this significantly because it actually understands the sort of unwritten rules and nuances of different platforms.
Yeah.
For social media copy, it can whip up concise, engaging text that's perfectly tailored, whether you need a professional buttoned-up LinkedIn post or a really short, snappy tweet.
So it knows the difference.
It seems to, yeah. You can ask it, write a Twitter thread, maybe 5 tweets long, summarizing this blog post, and you give it the link. Or for LinkedIn, write a Monday motivation post for LinkedIn. Target audiences, sales and marketing managers. Keep it uplifting, inspiring, but casual, and with a thought-provoking question.
It just sort of instinctively gets the platform needs, like Twitter's character limits or LinkedIn's preference for that more structured thought leader vibe.
That's impressive. What about email? Newsletters, outreach.
Equally powerful for email content. It can generate catchy subject lines, which is half the battle, right?
It can write entire welcome sequences for new subscribers, re-engagement emails to win back inactive ones, cold outreach messages, promotional campaigns, you name it. Imagine prompting. Write a cold outreach email for a B2B company called Bug Counted. Service, business accounting, key points, pro service for tech startups, 10+ years experience, expert advice on funding, affordable monthly plans, target, tech startups needing payroll advice, CTA, contact us at XXX for a free consult. It can even personalize emails if you feed it some specific customer data points.
Wow, okay. And website copy, headlines, product descriptions.
Yep, web copy too. It helps craft persuasive headlines, detailed product descriptions, compelling value propositions, engaging about us pages, effective ad copy, for instance. Write an attention-grabbing headline and a compelling intro paragraph for a new website. Product, healthy tonic. Type, probiotic fizzy drink. Features, refreshing, appleberry mango flavors, low sugar, good for the gut.
It really does sound like a Swiss Army knife for anything text-based. What about going beyond just pure text generation? Can it help repurpose content or summarize things?
It absolutely excels there too. ChatGPT is incredibly efficient at repurposing and summarizing existing content. You can effortlessly take a long blog post and transform it into a concise newsletter, a professional LinkedIn article, even just quick bullet points for a presentation slide. It helps you get way more mileage out of every piece of content you create without starting from scratch each time.
More bang for your buck, content-wise.
Exactly. And for content summaries, it's fantastic. It can condense complex ideas from lengthy articles or super dense research reports. A prompt like, can you summarize this research report and just highlight the key points discussed? Paste link can literally cut down an hour of reading and searching in less than a minute. You get these insightful, actionable summaries super fast.
That's incredibly useful. What about video? Scripts, descriptions?
Immensely helpful for video scripts and descriptions. It can help structure presentations, generate compelling hooks to grab viewers early, create optimized YouTube descriptions with relevant keywords you could ask for, create a script for a product launch video. Product, dewy glow skin cream, key features, moisturizing, nourishing, leaves a youthful glow, prevents aging, affordable but effective.
Nice. Even press releases.
Yep, even press releases. It can generate that straightforward, factual kind of content. Whether it's for a huge launch like a new iPhone or for a smaller brand launching a new collection, you just feed it the key announcement points. Write a press release about company, Bella, product, women's dress accessories, announcement, launch of spring 2023 collection, main colors, lemon, yellow, peach, floral designs, comfy fits.
Okay, one more finding stats. Research.
Yep, collecting statistics and figures. ChatGPT can quickly compile lists of stats on a topic, often providing the source links too, which saves a ton of research time. For instance, give me a list of recent stats and facts on AI content creation market growth, and please share the links to the sources. That capability alone can turn hours of manual web searching into just seconds.
That's incredibly comprehensive. It covers so many parts of creating text. And you mentioned there are platforms now that are specifically designed to leverage this power even further, integrating ChatGPT into specialized workflows.
Yes, absolutely. Platforms like Castmagic are a perfect example of how ChatGPT's capabilities are being built into tools to really revolutionize workflows, especially for people creating video and audio content.
Castmagic. Okay, how does that work?
Well, Castmagic has this feature called Magic Chat. It basically gives you a dedicated ChatGPT instance that's specifically tuned for each audio or video file you upload.
Ah, so it knows the context of that specific file.
Exactly. The AI has complete, perfect context of that uploaded content, which means the outputs it generates are significantly more accurate, relevant, and nuanced compared to using a general ChatGPT. Creators can just plug in any prompt they normally use, and Castmagic intelligently converts their audio or video into a huge range of valuable assets.
Like what kind of assets?
Oh, all sorts. Turning long podcasts or videos into engaging blog posts, short social media updates, email newsletters, detailed podcast show notes, optimized video descriptions, content for infographics, even whole ebook chapters or outlines for webinars.
Wow, that's powerful repurposing.
It really is. This kind of integration dramatically cuts down the time and effort needed to get your content out across multiple channels. It frees creators up to focus their energy on making great original stuff and thinking strategically about distribution. And the cool thing is, these platforms usually aren't limited to just predefined templates, so you have a lot of flexibility. They're becoming invaluable tools for modern marketing.
Okay, so we've seen how ChatGPT can be this indispensable writing powerhouse, streamlining pretty much every aspect of text creation. But what if your creative needs are more visual? What if you got this amazing image in your head, but you lack the traditional art skills to bring it to life?
Yeah, the visual side.
This is where tools like Midjourney step in. And for a lot of people, this is where it gets truly transformative, I think. It just opens up entirely new ways to express yourself visually.
Midjourney is definitely one of the most prominent, most powerful generative AI tools out there,
Yeah.
specifically for making images from text prompts. And it's really gained this reputation for creating incredibly realistic, often kind of ethereal, and just consistently impressive visuals.
How does it do it? Same kind of tech as ChatGPT.
Similar underlying principles, yeah.
Yeah.
It uses cutting-edge machine learning, specifically large language models, to understand your text descriptions, and then these sophisticated diffusion models, we talked about those earlier, to actually generate the image.
Right, the noise-adding ones.
Exactly. Now, what makes Midjourney kind of intriguing and a bit unique is that it's entirely self-funded, and it operates as a closed-source project.
Closed source, so we don't know exactly how it works inside.
Pretty much. Its inner workings are a bit of a mystery, unlike some competitors, which adds to its somewhat enigmatic reputation, I guess.
Interesting. So if I'm curious, I want to jump in and try it. How do you even get started with Midjourney? Is it just like downloading an app?
Not quite like a typical App Store download, no. The main way you interact with Midjourney is actually through Discord.
Discord, the chat platform.
Yep, the popular communication platform.
Mm.
So, first step, you need a Discord account if you don't have one. Then you join the official Midjourney server on Discord. Now, there's a crucial thing to know, something that changed back in April 2023. Midjourney doesn't offer a free trial anymore.
Ah, okay. No free tries. You have to pay.
Correct. To generate any images, you need a paid subscription now.
That's good to know upfront. What are the options if someone wants to just start exploring?
They have a few tiers aimed at different usage levels. The basic plan is usually around $10 a month. That gets you about 200 image generations.
Okay, 200 images for $10.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's the standard plan. That's $30 a month. It gives you a more generous 15 hours of fast generation time, plus unlimited relaxed or slower generations, which are fine if you're not in a hurry.
Fast versus relaxed time. Interesting.
Yeah. And for heavier users, the Pro plan is $60 a month, offering 30 hours of fast time. Oh, and one important detail. If you want stealth mode, meaning your image generations are private and not visible in the public channels, you'll need at least the Pro plan or the even higher Mega plan.
Stealth mode for privacy. Got it.
Any tips for using Discord with it?
Yeah, a practical tip I always give people.
Yeah.
Download the actual Discord app. Don't just use the web version.
It just offers a much cleaner, less chaotic interface compared to trying to navigate those busy public newbie channels where everyone's generating stuff.
Yeah.
The app lets you have private message threads with the Midjourney bot, makes it way easier to see your images, organize them, make changes without the constant stream of everyone else's creations scrolling by.
Okay, good tip. So, you're on Discord, you've subscribed, you're ready to make some art. How do you actually create that first image? What's the basic command?
The core command, the sort of magic words, is imagine. You just type imagine followed by your text description, your prompt.
Okay.
For instance, you type, imagine a hyper-realistic image of a golden retriever dog joyfully riding in the bed of a vintage pickup truck, bathed in warm afternoon sunlight. And then usually in under a minute, Midjourney processes that and gives you back a grid of 4 distinct images based on your description.
4 options to start with. Cool. What happens then?
Once you get that grid of 4 images, you'll see a set of buttons underneath. You'll see U buttons, U and U4. U is for upscaling. Clicking one of those generates a larger, much more detailed, higher resolution version of that specific image from the grid.
Upscaling for more detail. Makes sense.
Yep. If you're not really happy with the first set and want to try again with the same prompt, there's a regenerate button, looks like a circular arrow that just makes a whole new set of 4. And then there are the V buttons, V1, V4. V is for variation. Clicking one of those creates 4 slight variations of the image you selected, keeping its general look and composition, but introducing subtle changes.
U for upscale, V for variation. Got it. That's the basic flow. Seems pretty straightforward for getting such cool results. But I've heard you can get really specific, really creative with the output, make the AI truly understand your vision. How do you get that level of control?
Right, that's where advanced image crafting using parameters comes into play. These are specific codes or commands you add after your imagined prompt to really fine-tune the output.
Parameters. Okay, like what?
For example, R lets you set the aspect ratio, so you're not stuck with the default 1.1 square. If you type, imagine a breathtaking, hyper-realistic landscape with towering snow-capped mountains in the background, A perfectly frozen lake is in the foreground with children ice skating, reflections on the ice are 16.9. You'll get a wide cinematic image instead of a square.
Ugh, R for aspect ratio. Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
There's Q, which adjusts the image quality and detail level. Higher numbers generally mean more refinement, but might take longer. And IW, which stands for image prompt weight, is really interesting.
Image weight.
Yeah, it basically tells Midjourney how closely the generated image should stick to your text prompt versus how much creative freedom the AI should have. A higher weight forces it to follow your words very closely. A lower weight lets the AI interpret more freely, be more artistic. So imagine cats and dogs playing together. Q3 IW 0.25 would give the AI more leeway to get creative.
Controlling the creativity level. Fascinating. Any other cool parameters?
Definitely. Midjourney also has powerful modes like remix mode. You turn that on by typing prefer remix. This is super flexible. It lets you actually change your prompt or the parameters or even the AI model version or aspect ratio after you've already generated an image.
Change it after the fact. How?
So say you generated that image of the frozen lake with kids skating. With remix mode on, you could click a variation button, V button, and a box pops up letting you edit the original prompt. You could change children skating to whimsical penguin skating, hit submit, and it generates variations based on that new prompt while keeping the rest of the scene generally intact.
Wow, that's incredibly powerful for iterating.
It really is. Then there are multi-prompts. These use a double colon to separate different concepts within a single prompt. This gives you more control than just listing words. For example, imagine cattails would strongly focus on generating images related to cattails, whereas just typing imagine cattails might simply give you a cat that has tails, a much broader interpretation.
Okay, the double colon for distinct concepts.
Exactly. And finally, permutation prompts. These use curly brackets. They let you generate multiple variations using a list of options all within one single prompt. Like imagine a red, orange, yellow, blue bouquet of flowers. Midjourney will then create separate jobs, generating a bouquet image for each of those colors you listed inside the brackets.
So you can batch variations easily. These parameters sound incredibly powerful, almost like you're getting a director's chair for visual concepts. What are some other maybe more general tips for generating really dynamic, unique visuals? Pushing the boundaries a bit.
Yeah, definitely some techniques help. One of the most effective is to use specific artistic styles and mediums in your prompts. You can tell Midjourney to render your image in the style of a particular artist or movement.
Like in the style of Van Gogh.
Exactly. Or, imagine this woman as a 1700s era Victorian queen rendered in the style of John Singer Sargent, or a photo of a golden doodle created using the distinct brushstroke style of Leonardo da Vinci, or even specify a medium. A black and white line drawing of a 1968 Chevrolet Camaro with ink wash effects.
Specifying styles really guides it. What else?
You can also combine concepts in creative ways. Merge seemingly unrelated ideas to get really targeted and unique results. A simple one might be a Canadian superhero flying over a maple forest. You're blending nationality, action, and setting. Another really impactful technique is to meticulously use lighting descriptions. Adding specific lighting effects, cinematic lighting, golden hour, dramatic shadows, neon glow, can drastically change the mood and dynamism of the image. Like imagine the image of the Eiffel Tower at midday, complete with dramatic cinematic lighting, casting long shadows.
Lighting makes such a difference. Can you use your own images?
Yes, this is a really cool feature, especially for personal projects. You can use your own images as input. You upload a photo directly into Discord, get its unique URL, and then include that URL at the beginning of your Imagine prompt along with your text. Midjourney will then use your uploaded image as inspiration, trying to incorporate its elements, textures, colors, or composition into the new AI-generated creations.
Blend your photos with AI. Interesting.
And speaking of blending, there's the blend command itself. This is super versatile. It lets you upload and combine 2 to 5 separate images, merging them together to create often stunning, sometimes surreal visual effects. For the best results with Blend, it's usually recommended to make sure your input images have roughly the same aspect ratio or dimensions.
Okay, blending multiple images. The possibilities seem endless. It's truly fascinating how these tools just democratize creativity on such a massive scale. You genuinely don't need to be a master artist or even know how to use complex design software to create visuals that look truly stunning, even professional grade. But it does raise that big question again. What does this widespread accessibility really mean for the future of creative skills, for the role of the artist?
Yeah, it fundamentally shifts things. The barrier to visual expression is profoundly lowered. Almost anyone with an idea can visualize it now. But as you say, the skill isn't necessarily in the manual execution anymore. It's shifting more towards creative direction, critical judgment, and importantly, learning how to communicate effectively with the AI.
And that brings us right back to that common thread, doesn't it? Connecting both ChatGPT and Midjourney. Whether you're trying to craft compelling, nuanced writing with ChatGPT or generate breathtaking, intricate art with Midjourney, there's this undeniable truth. The quality, the relevance, the originality of what you get out is directly tied to the quality of what you put in.
Exactly.
This is where prompt engineering really comes into focus. It's less about coding, more about learning to speak the AI's language, right? Becoming a master conversationalist with these incredibly powerful digital tools.
That's an excellent way to put it. It really nails the core of mastering these tools. The art of the prompt is just paramount for getting the very best results from any generative AI. And the number one absolute golden rule, be incredibly specific and provide abundant, clear context.
Specificity is key.
Absolutely number one. You just have to avoid vague, generic language. That almost always leads to generic, bland, or just irrelevant outputs. Your prompts need a crystal clear structure, an unambiguous goal. For instance, a really effective prompt for, say, a call to action would be something like, generate 5 strong calls to action urging people to buy modular furniture. Specifically target millennials living in urban apartments who prioritize sustainability and minimalist design.
Okay, very detailed.
Right. Contrast that with a poor prompt like just create a CTA for furniture sellers. See the difference. The more detail, the more specific constraints, the more context you provide, the better the AI can actually align with what you're envisioning.
Got it. More detail equals better output. What else makes a good prompt?
You also want to consistently use active voice and direct imperative instructions. You're guiding the AI, telling it what to do clearly. And for image generation, like with Midjourney, this means using rich descriptive language. Pile on the adjectives, the adverbs, the sensory details. Talk about color, shape, size, texture, lighting, mood. Paint a picture with your words. And critically, always try to avoid ambiguity. Use language that's direct and leaves as little room for misinterpretation as possible about what you want.
So it's not just about firing off one perfect command and hoping for best. It sounds more like an ongoing dialogue with the AI.
Precisely. That brings us to the absolutely vital idea of the iterative process you have to continuously refine the responses. You should always, always use follow-up prompts.
Always follow up.
Yes. The more questions you ask it, the more additional info or refined instructions you provide, the better the AI gets at understanding your preferences, your style, your evolving vision for the piece. It truly is a dynamic conversation, not a one-and-done request where you just expect perfection on the first try.
So manage expectations. It's a process.
Exactly. You need to be prepared to iterate on your prompts based on what you get back initially. Don't be afraid to ask the same thing in a slightly different way, or add new constraints, or ask it to combine aspects of previous responses. This generates varied results and helps you incrementally improve. And critically, experimentation is just crucial.
Just gotta play with it.
You really do. This hands-on exploration helps you build this intuitive feel for how the model interprets certain keywords, and how even tiny tweaks to your prompt can lead to dramatically different, sometimes really surprising and cool, results. You know, my very first attempt at a Midjourney prompt was probably something pathetic like, draw a cool dog.
How'd that turn out?
Let's just say the results weren't exactly gallery-worthy. It really hammers home how much prompt engineering is both an art and a science, and how important that learning curve, that iteration really is.
That's a great relatable point. We've all been there with that first cool dog prompt. So how do you personalize the output even more? Make sure it really aligns with, say, a specific brand voice or a known artistic style.
Yeah, a really powerful technique for that is using phrases like, in the style of. This lets you effectively train the AI, or at least guide it very strongly, towards a preferred writing style, an artistic movement, or even the distinct voice of a famous author or artist.
Give me an example.
Okay, for text, you could say, paraphrase this paragraph about urban planning, but do it in the dense, satirical style of Kurt Vonnegut. Or for visuals with Midjourney, you might ask for an image rendered in the detailed, fantastical style of Hayao Miyazaki, or maybe with the vibrant, abstract qualities of a Jackson Pollock painting. It really helps the AI mimic a specific aesthetic or tone.
Okay, in the style of is a powerful lever. What about controlling length or keeping things organized?
Good points. Specifying word or character count is important. If you need longer, detailed responses, or if you absolutely need your content to set specific limits, think meta descriptions, social media posts, headlines, you have to define those numbers explicitly in the prompt. While AIs are brilliant, they often kind of forget how to count without clear instructions.
Right, need to remind them.
Exactly. So human refinement for hitting those precise limits is usually still key. And organization. It's actually really good practice to organize your chats and threads or labeled conversations, especially in tools like ChatGPT.
Why does that help?
It keeps your dialogue with the AI tidy, for one, but more importantly, provides the AI with more continuous context for follow-up questions within that specific topic. And honestly, just makes it vastly easier for you to find specific content or previous iterations later on.
Smart. Keep track of your conversations. What about specific Midjourney tricks again, beyond the general prompt advice?
Yeah, for Midjourney specifically, remember to leverage its specific parameters and tags for that extra fine control. We mentioned R for aspect ratio. There's also creative, which can push the AI towards more unconventional, artistic, sometimes weirder outputs, if that's what you want. Adding weights using the double colon is crucial for emphasizing the importance of certain concepts in your multi-prompts. And crucially, using negative prompts like adding no hands or no text at the end of your prompt lets you specifically tell Midjourney to exclude elements you definitely don't want in your final image. That can be super helpful for cleaning up results.
Negative prompts to remove unwanted stuff. Very useful.
Absolutely. But ultimately, while AI is this incredible generation engine, the final absolutely essential step is always adding your own unique touch. Your tone of voice, your brand's personality, your human discernment. You'll always want to review, tweak, maybe combine parts of different outputs, and really refine what the AI gives you to make sure it aligns perfectly with your vision. It becomes a truly usable asset that feels authentic.
So it really isn't just about knowing how to click the buttons on the tool. It's fundamentally about how to talk to it, how to guide it effectively. This whole prompt engineering thing, it's clearly a skill that develops with experience, with that iteration you talked about. And it feels like it's rapidly becoming essential for anyone in content creation or really any creative space today.
It certainly is. I'd argue that this ability to effectively communicate with and direct AI is probably one of the most valuable new skills emerging in the digital landscape.
Yeah.
It's really shaping the next generation of creative work.
Okay, so the arrival and, let's face it, the incredibly rapid evolution of these powerful AI tools, it's understandably stirred up this huge whirlwind of excitement, but also anxiety and just endless speculation across
Oh,
industry.
yeah. The big question.
Right, the big one. Will machines just replace writers, designers, artists entirely? Or is something else happening here? Something maybe more nuanced, more transformative. Our sources seem pretty clear on this. What we're seeing isn't really the end of human creativity as we know it. It feels more like a fundamental transformation, a really profound shift in the whole paradigm of creative work itself.
That's absolutely the core insight coming through. The central idea is this significant shift towards co-designing with AI.
Co-designing, I like.
Yeah. These incredible tools are fundamentally reshaping the creative process, but they're acting not as competitors, but as really powerful collaborators.
Yeah.
In this new setup, the human, still the ultimate decision maker, the visionary, the one with the taste, the meticulous editor, while the machine, it functions as this immensely powerful assistant. It can generate ideas, suggest variations, test concepts at a scale and speed that humans just can't match.
So human directs, machine assists at scale.
Exactly. This interactive process, it's best described as a continuous conversation. Human prompts the machine, machine responds with a range of options. Human refines, iterates, directs the next step. It's less about just outsourcing creativity and much more about retooling it for this new era.
Retooling creativity. That's interesting. How does that change the actual workflow?
Well, traditionally, creative work often felt more linear, right? You conceive an idea, you draft it, you refine it, then you produce the final thing. AI introduces a much more flexible, agile, iterative rhythm. It's built on this rapid cycle of prompting, refining, looping back through ideas. Let's look at how this human plus machine synergy actually plays out in different stages of creation.
Okay, let's break it down. Ideation phase.
Right, in the crucial ideation phase, coming up with ideas. AI can help surface just a multitude of options and directions that realistically would take human teams hours, maybe days, to generate manually. Imagine a fashion designer using Midjourney to quickly visualize 10 wildly different mood boards for a new collection in just minutes.
Wow, 10 mood boards instantly.
Yeah, allowing them to instantly see what resonates, what sparks further ideas. Or think of a content creator using ChatGPT to brainstorm hundreds of slightly different article titles. Or summarize super niche research papers for a new blog series, all in a tiny fraction of the time it would take normally.
Okay, speeds up brainstorming massively. What about drafting?
During the drafting phase, creative teams can now confidently rely on AI to generate pretty robust first-pass versions of things. Marketing campaigns, email sequences, detailed product descriptions. Now, these aren't necessarily the final polished drafts.
Right, first pass.
But they're strong enough starting points to accelerate the whole process dramatically. Because humans then start from somewhere and shape the results from there, instead of just staring at that intimidating blank page.
Gets you off the starting blocks faster.
Exactly. A content strategist, for example, might ask AI to write, say, 10 brand tagline variations, each one emphasizing a different core value, maybe speed, trust, innovation. This lets them quickly see which avenues feel most promising to explore and test further.
Makes sense. And for visual stuff, production.
For visual production, yeah, innovative tools like Runway, that's big for video, and Adobe Firefly for images, they're completely transforming how creators can experiment with formats and styles. A video editor could use Runway's AI-generated B-roll footage or maybe initial scene concepts just for quick mock-ups during a client pitch.
Show possibilities quickly.
Right. Showcasing various aesthetic directions on the fly. Or maybe a freelance illustrator asks Adobe Firefly to turn a really rough sketch they did into several high-resolution concept artworks. This allows them to rapidly iterate on designs and present far more options to clients in those early review stages.
Faster iteration for visuals, too. Publishing.
Even in the publishing realm, authors are increasingly using AI to support their workflow. Maybe generating concise book summaries for marketing, creating comprehensive chapter outlines to structure their writing, or even just efficiently rephrasing awkward sentences that aren't flowing right. The common thread across all of this, it's a profound shift. Creators aren't working in this rigid one-way pipeline anymore. Instead, they're collaborating dynamically with AI at each stage, bouncing ideas back and forth until something really clicks and takes shape.
That paints a really vivid picture of this new collaborative process. So beyond just the cool factor, what are the most tangible real-world benefits that this co-design approach actually offers creators and businesses?
The advantages are pretty profound, yeah, and hard to ignore. First and foremost, just immense speed and scale. Tasks that honestly used to take days, maybe even weeks, now often get done in hours, sometimes minutes.
Drastic time savings.
Huge. Think about drafting dozens of different ad variations for A/B testing, or designing early-stage product prototypes, generating a whole suite of social media visuals for a campaign. These things no longer require these massive timelines or huge resource allocations.
Frees up resources. What else?
Well, this newfound efficiency leads directly to significantly expanded experimentation, because the cost, both in terms of time and human effort, of testing out new creative directions is just so dramatically lower now.
Right, less risk in trying something new.
Exactly. Creators are far more willing to experiment with bold, unconventional ideas that maybe previously they would have thought were too risky or just too time-consuming to even bother exploring. To put it simply, you can now generate, say, 20 versions of a podcast title using ChatGPT, discard 19 of them.
Yeah.
And still feel like that whole process was not only worthwhile, but incredibly efficient and actually creatively liberating. You explored more possibilities.
That's a great way to put it. More creative freedom.
And importantly, AI helps significantly lower the barrier to entry for creating high-quality output. Let's face it, not everyone is a classically trained designer or a professional copywriter or a skilled digital artist.
True.
But with these accessible AI tools, a small business owner, an independent artist, even just a passionate hobbyist, can generate incredibly polished, professional-looking assets without needing to hire a full, specialized creative team. It really empowers a whole new wave of creators.
That's huge for democratization. But this makes me think about the human creative's role again. If AI can do so much, does the human role just shrink? Or does it morph into something new, maybe even more strategic?
It absolutely transforms, and I would argue it elevates the human role. As AI becomes this indispensable part of the creative workflow, we're already seeing new roles emerge and existing roles shift. Just like, when Photoshop arrived, it created this massive need for digital art specialists.
Right, new skills become valuable.
Exactly. AI has already led to this growing demand for prompt engineers, basically. Creatives who have that unique skill of effectively guiding these machines to get specific artistic or textual results. The core skill for human creatives going forward, it isn't necessarily technical proficiency in coding or even traditional drawing anymore. It's more about profound creative direction.
Creative direction.
Yeah, knowing precisely what to ask for.
Yeah.
Understanding how to iteratively push and refine what the AI gives you, and crucially, knowing when to confidently say, nope, that's not it, and discard something that doesn't align with the vision. Designers, for example, are now taking on these multiple, really crucial, multifaceted roles in this new landscape.
Like what kind of roles?
Okay, they act as the creative director, providing that overarching artistic vision guiding the AI. They become the curator and editor, meticulously selecting the best bits from the AI's output and refining them. They serve as the crucial brand advocate, making absolutely sure every AI-generated piece perfectly aligns with the brand's aesthetic, its tone, its values. They transform into the innovator and problem solver, pushing the boundaries, finding creative solutions to complex challenges using AI. And finally, they remain the ultimate quality controller, ensuring consistency, relevance, and just a high standard for everything that goes out.
Wow, that's a lot of hats. But it emphasizes the human judgment aspect.
It really does. The powerful conclusion our sources consistently point to is this. While machines can generate an almost endless array of options, only humans possess the intuition, the empathy, the cultural understanding, the lived experience, the judgment to choose what truly resonates with other humans.
The human connection.
Exactly. The essence of creativity itself, that spark of an original idea, the emotional connection, the unique perspective that hasn't changed. What has profoundly changed is how we get to that creative outcome and who, or maybe what, is sitting beside us at the creative table helping us get there. The future. It isn't just human, and it isn't purely machine. It's this powerful, dynamic mix of both.
Okay, so on the surface, this all sounds pretty incredible, right? A dream scenario for creators in many ways. But like any truly powerful tool, any transformative technology, generative AI isn't without its complexities. There are definitely crucial considerations, even some significant pitfalls that we need to be aware of.
Absolutely. Can't ignore the downsides.
Right. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, it raises that important question. How do we use these tools responsibly, effectively, while really understanding their inherent limitations?
That's a critical point, and honestly, one that requires constant vigilance. Despite all the remarkable strides, the incredible capabilities, it's absolutely essential that we acknowledge the inherent limitations of AI when it comes to creative output. Firstly, while AI can generate incredibly convincing, often beautiful stuff, it ultimately lacks genuine creativity in the human sense.
Lacks genuine creativity. How so?
Well, AI models, they mimic artistic styles, linguistic patterns, based on the mountains of data they trained on. But they don't possess profound understanding or emotional depth or that innate spark of creativity. They don't have a true conscious understanding of the meaning behind the content they generate.
So it's sophisticated mimicry, not understanding.
Largely, yes. AI excels at replication, at pattern recognition, but it doesn't experience life, it doesn't feel emotions, it doesn't have true intention like a human artist does. It doesn't really originate groundbreaking innovation from internal thought or intuition. Secondly, there's that over-reliance on its training data, if those massive data sets are limited in scope or if they're skewed by historical biases.
Biased data leads to biased output.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The AI might struggle to produce truly unique, novel, or culturally diverse outputs. It can sometimes be limited by the biases present in the data it learned from.
Okay, what else?
Another significant limitation is AI's struggle with interpretation and deep context. It lacks that subjective interpretation, that nuanced understanding of contextual elements that human artists just bring naturally. Art, communication, they often carry layers of cultural, historical, intensely personal significance that just fundamentally elude the comprehension of AI models. This makes it hard for AI to create stuff that resonates on a really deep emotional or cultural level without significant human guidance.
It doesn't get the subtext.
Pretty much. Furthermore, AI lacks genuine intuition and personal intention. Unlike human artists who pour purpose, personal stories, symbolic depth into their work, AI-generated pieces can feel like they lack that profound depth, that symbolism, those personal narratives that really characterize human-created works. And finally, AI can struggle with dynamic adaptation. It's ultimately constrained by its training data. It might find it hard to spontaneously adapt to the constantly evolving landscape of artistic trends, emerging cultural movements, or rapidly shifting communication styles, because human art and language are so dynamic, constantly shaped by culture.
Okay, those are some pretty fundamental limitations. What about the more practical sort of day-to-day pitfalls or common frustrations users might run into when they're actually using these tools?
Yeah, in practice, we definitely see several common pitfalls people need to navigate. AI can sometimes inadvertently strip the personality right out of content. It introduces something technically correct, but it feels generic, bland, lacking that distinctive brand voice or personal style.
The dreaded AI speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In long-form content, AI can also get quite redundant.
Yeah.
Starts repeating phrases, ideas, sometimes even whole sections, which definitely necessitates human editing to clean up. It also might occasionally just plain ignore instructions, especially if your prompts are way too long, too complex, or maybe contain conflicting directives, which again just highlights why that iterative prompting, breaking things down, is so crucial.
Right. Keep prompts clear.
A minor thing, but noticeable for global creators.
Mm.
It often defaults to U.S. spelling and grammar, which needs manual adjustment if you're writing for the UK or Australia, for example.
And a really peculiar quirk is the overuse of certain words or phrases.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
You start to notice patterns.
Words like ensure, crucial, landscape, leverage, dive deep, paradigm, synergy. AI can develop its own little trigger words or preferred vocabulary based on its training. So human review is always needed to make sure it sounds natural and not like, well, like an AI wrote it.
Keep an eye out for those repetitive words. Got it. Now, what about the bigger, more critical risks? The challenges that everyone, from casual users right up to large companies, should be really aware of when deploying generative AI.
Okay, this is where responsible usage becomes absolutely paramount. One of the most significant, well-documented risks is hallucinations and just plain inaccurate outputs.
Hallucinations.
Yeah.
Sounds worrying.
It means the AI can produce content that is nonsensical or factually wrong or entirely made up. But, and this is the critical part, it often presents this false information in a way that sounds completely plausible, totally authoritative.
Confidently incorrect.
Exactly. There's that vivid example recently in the legal world. A lawyer used a GenAI tool for research, and it produced several example cases complete with quotes and legal citations that were entirely fictional.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
Extremely. It just underscores the absolute necessity of human verification for anything factual.
Yeah.
Now, developers are working on this. They're implementing guardrails to try and restrict models to relevant or trusted data sources, and ongoing evaluation helps reduce these hallucinations, but it's still a risk.
Okay. What's that?
Then there's the issue of inconsistent outputs. Because these models are probabilistic, meaning there's an element of randomness, the exact same input prompt can give you slightly or sometimes significantly different results each time you run it. Sophisticated prompt engineering helps achieve more consistency, but it's just a characteristic of the tech users need to be aware of. Don't expect the exact same output every single time.
Manage expectations again.
Right. Also, big concerns around security, privacy, and intellectual property threats. These powerful tools can, unfortunately, be exploited for malicious purposes, generating highly convincing phishing emails, creating fake online identities for fraud, things like that. And users need to be super careful not to inadvertently expose their own sensitive or proprietary information or the intellectual property, IP, of others through the prompts they enter or the outputs the AI generates.
Right. Don't paste sensitive company data into a public AI tool.
Please don't. And related to IP is the whole complex issue of copyright for AI-generated art. The legal status is still really complex, kind of debated, varies by country. Terms of service for these tools vary too. Sometimes paid accounts grant you ownership. Free accounts might only allow personal use with attribution. Key factors are usually the level of human involvement, the jurisdiction, and the originality of the final piece. It's murky.
Copyright is definitely a minefield right now.
Yeah.
What about deepfakes?
Yeah, deepfakes. These are AI-manipulated images, videos, audio clips, created to convince people that they're seeing, watching, or hearing someone do or say something they never did or said. While they have legitimate creative uses, they can obviously be weaponized for spreading misinformation, damaging reputations, or even for sophisticated cyber attacks and financial fraud.
Scary stuff. How do we fight that?
Well, AI models specifically designed to detect deepfakes are being developed, which is good. But honestly, user education is probably the most crucial defense right now, teaching people to be critical of what they see online, to verify information before sharing, especially if it seems sensational or designed to provoke strong emotion.
Healthy skepticism is key. One last risk.
A big underlying one is the lack of explainability for many of these models. They're often called black box models,
Like a box.
meaning it's incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible, to understand precisely how they arrived at a certain result or made a specific decision. This opacity, this lack of transparency can make it really challenging to fully trust or audit their decision-making process, especially when they're used in high-stakes applications like finance, healthcare, or hiring.
Can't see inside to understand the reasoning. Okay. So bringing all of this together, the limitations, the pitfalls, the risk, what does this really mean for us, the users? It sounds like the human element, our judgment, our critical thinking, it remains absolutely critical, doesn't it?
It does. unequivocally.
Yeah.
It is absolutely essential to acknowledge generative AI's inherent limitations. As powerful as these tools are, human intervention and review are extremely important. You simply must always review and refine before publishing anything that comes out of an AI. And critically, fact-check everything, including verifying sources, to ensure accuracy, especially for nonfiction content.
Don't blindly trust the output.
Never. The ultimate takeaway really is, use AI as a tool, not a shortcut. It's so tempting, I know, to just churn out content with minimal human input because it's fast. But that almost invariably leads to low-quality, off-brand, generic stuff that ultimately just doesn't connect with people. Readers, viewers, listeners, they care about clarity, usefulness, and genuine authenticity. If AI helps you achieve those qualities more efficiently, great. It builds trust, enhances your output. But your discernment, your unique perspective, your critical judgment, your ethical compass, those remain the absolutely pivotal elements in harnessing this powerful technology responsibly and effectively.
That's a really important perspective to keep. So we've truly taken a comprehensive deep dive today into how these revolutionary AI tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney are just fundamentally transforming content creation and artistic expression. From dramatically streamlining workflows to unlocking entirely new possibilities for visual and text creation, these tools are, well, they're undeniable game changers. They're reshaping how we approach creative work.
Yeah, and if we connect this back to that bigger picture, it seems crystal clear that the future of creativity isn't really about AI replacing us. It's about this dynamic, powerful synergy between human ingenuity and these new machine capabilities. The real power, the true leverage, it lies firmly in the user's ability to master the prompts, to understand the nuances and limitations of these technologies, and then crucially to apply your unique human touch, your discerning judgment to whatever the AI generates.
Well said. So here's a final, maybe provocative thought for you, our listeners, to mull over as you continue your own creative explorations with these tools. As AI continues to get more and more sophisticated, increasingly capable of producing incredibly realistic, complex, nuanced outputs, how will the very definition of originality in creative works continue to evolve? What does original even mean in this new landscape? And maybe even more excitingly, what entirely new forms of artistic expression, things we can't even conceive of right now, might emerge from the depths of this human-AI collaboration in the years to come?
That's a fascinating question for the future.
It really is. So we definitely encourage you to experiment with these tools. They're powerful, they're exciting, but always, always do it with a critical, discerning eye. Understand the tool, but trust your own judgment most of all.